What is going on, Nuggets Nation, NBA fans? My name is Tom Leuthner. Welcome back into Nuggets Today, presented by Fan Arch. We do have some things to talk about and cover today. And the first thing I want to start off with is just Denver's future. I was listening to the DNVR podcast. I've been talking to some people, and not that I want to say the future's at risk, but I also think that it's not the greatest. And I think I've continued to say that throughout the entire offseason so far. The young guys, they look pretty good. You look at Strother, you look at Watson, you look at CB. People like Pickett. I personally am not the biggest fan. You have Duran, who has potential, but it's also going to come down to extending these guys and paying them, and we already know that the CB market is going to be higher than any other player. So if you bring him in for what he, I guess, is worth on the open market right now, probably 25, 27 mil a year, that's going to cut your cap, and you're going to be in a situation where you're paying this guy 4 years, 25 mil. So it's $100 million on the books right there. Then you have a guy like Jamal, who's, I believe, is making anywhere in the $40 to $50 million range next year. Jokic, who I believe they're offering the Supermax to this, or the max extension to this offseason. So there's a lot to think about, but I also think that Denver's in a good place because I don't think that the management is scared to move somebody if that means it helps Denver out in the best way. And I know as fans, we sort of get a little, upset when it comes to something like that, because I definitely was upset when MPJ got moved, not because MPJ was the best player for Denver, but just because he's somebody that's been there for the championship run. He's a guy who you grow to, love and enjoy watching, especially with his three-point shooting ability. So I think that the management is in a good spot where they'll move on from somebody. If that means trading somebody, you get rid of. This is hypotheticals, and I'm just saying you get rid of Jamal for a point guard who's okay, but a first or two first-round picks. Not saying that would ever happen, but I don't think they're scared to make those kinds of moves, which I think is the best personal thing for Denver. So I think that the future could be in a good place if their management decides to make any moves. But as of right now, I think that it's a little bit iffy. You have, like I said, young talent. The roster is not the oldest in the world, but it's not the youngest in the world. And I just think that once Jokic leaves, they don't have anybody to really replace him. So who knows what happens with Jokic at the end of his career? Who knows what happens with a guy like Jamal if they don't win this year? Obviously, Bruce, Val, and Tim Hardaway are only going to be here for 1, 2, maybe 3 years max. So, like I said, it's going to be up to Strother, Watson, Duran, Brown, and I guess Pickett at this point. Maybe Tamar and Curtis Jones could actually play a role for Denver, but until that happens, it's going to be up to those guys. So their future is pretty. I guess it's okay, but it is a little iffy at the moment. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is just the schedule promotions came out for this upcoming season, and I want to break those down for you guys if you have not seen them, if you're not on social media a lot. So I'm going to break down all 3 months worth of promotions. The first promotion being October 29th is Filipino Heritage Ticket Offer Night. November 3rd is the Grateful Dead ticket package. November 8th is the Military Appreciation Night. November 17th is the Home City Edition jersey debut. November 22nd is the Native American Heritage Night. December 1st is Pride Night. December 18th is Aaron Gordon bobblehead giveaway. December 25th is obviously the Christmas Day game. January 9th is the Bruce Brown bobblehead giveaway. January 18th is Martin Luther King Jr. Spotlight game. January 30th will be the Serbian Heritage Night ticket package. February 9th is Black Excellence Night. February 20th is the Lunar New Year game. And then in March, you have the Asian American and Native Pacific Islander Heritage Night. March 11th, you have Women's Empowerment Night. March 17th, you have the Christian Brown bobblehead giveaway. March 20th, you have the Somos Los Nuggets Night. March 22nd, you have Rocky's birthday, which is probably the best on the schedule. March 27th, you have the Special Olympics Colorado Night. And then April 10th, you have the Nuggets Nation Appreciation Night. So, like I said, that is all the promos for this upcoming season. So, if you guys haven't seen those, that is a quick little update for you guys. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is something that I was thinking about the other day, and it sort of, it was brought to my attention and interests me, is the fact that will Denver make a mid-season trade this year? Will they try to move on from those young guys if they're not playing up to expectations, or do you sit on them and you lose them in the offseason if you don't want to re-sign them? So, like I said, the future is a little bit iffy. I came up with 3 different trades. The first trade would be a 3-team deal between the Nuggets, Hawks, and the Kings, where the Kings the Nuggets rather would receive Keegan Murray and Vic Krejci. I believe I'm saying that correctly. They trade away Julian Strawther to the Hawks, Watson, Zeke Naji, and 2 first-round picks, which obviously they don't have at the moment. Or their 2 first-rounders could be thrown in by the Hawks to get it would be Strawther to the Hawks, Watson, Zeke Naji, and 2 future firsts to the Kings. So that would include Hawks picks. So in that trade, I mean, the Nuggets add Keegan Murray, who's a high caliber he's a high caliber player who can really be a starting caliber, small forward, power forward. He's okay. He's not the best in the world. He wouldn't start for Denver, but it could work as a bench piece, especially if the Kings are tanking at that point. They get 2 future firsts from the Hawks. They get Watson, Zeke, and Naji. You fill in that backup center spot behind Domantas Sabonis. And, I mean, the Nuggets add a backup point guard in Krejci. So I think that's a pretty good trade. You add a younger talent who's probably better than everybody in that trade. Maybe not Watson, I guess, or what Watson means to the team, but that is just my opinion, a good trade. The second deal is just the Nuggets and the Bucks straight up, where the Bucks would receive Watson, Naji, and Hunter Tyson, and in return, the Nuggets receive Bobby Portis. Now, like I said, Watson's a big player for the Nuggets. You're trading away 3 younger guys, but in that trade, you get rid of Naji, who you sort of open up a little bit of cap space after the 1 or 2 years you have with Bobby Portis. He is a physical backup big, tested player, playoff veteran, so somebody who can, help Denver out a lot. I mean, listen, he's also a power forward that could shoot, and you still keep Val, so you play him next to Val, and he helps out a guy like Deron Holmes when all is said and done. And the last trade would be a Bulls and Nuggets deal, and this is something I've talked about a little bit. And this is, in my opinion, the worst trade I made out of the 3, but it would be giving up Strawther, Watson, and a future protected pick to the Bulls, and in that you would receive Ayo Dosunmu. Now, Ayo is probably better than Watson and Strawther, in my opinion, but at the same time, you're also losing 2 young guys and a pick to get 1 young guy who I think will obviously help Denver out. He is a scorer. He's a little bit proven, not to say Watson and Strawther aren't, but just a guy who I think would work as a trade. But not saying that's going to happen, but I am interested to see if Watson and Strawther don't play up to Denver standards if they do make any of those moves. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is an underlooked team in the Western Conference, in my opinion, with the moves made in this offseason is actually the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, I think I've talked about the Clippers being a powerhouse, the Rockets being a powerhouse, the Thunder being a powerhouse, but something about Luka losing all that weight and being so much more motivated than he was last season sort of scares me, especially with a capable rim-running big in DeAndre Ayton. Now, I know I'm not scared of Ayton by any means. Jokic has completely demolished DeAndre Ayton when they've played, but something about skinny Luka sort of scares me a little bit, especially with a bench unit that's actually pretty good. I mean, you have Marcus Smart, which if he plays games, he's fine, but you also have to worry about him not playing games. You have Jake LaRavia, who's a guy that I would have loved in Denver. You still have Rui in that starting 5. Vanderbilt is still there. Who knows if they make a trade for a guy like Andrew Wiggins, which just makes their team even better. But if LeBron still plays at a LeBron level where he's even averaging 20, and you have a guy like Luka in his prime, it's a scary sight, in my opinion. They're a team that's going to make a playoff run, and I think that, in my opinion, I think they're better than the Timberwolves this year. I think the Timberwolves might be able to just take them to another Game 7 if they play them in the playoffs, or take them to a beaten round, and they're able to advance to conference finals. Let's say that's the case, but I don't know. In my opinion, on paper, that Lakers roster is better than the Minnesota Timberwolves. Anyway, that is all I got for you guys this episode. I will have another episode out for you guys tomorrow. Thank you guys for watching. Hit that like and subscribe button. I'll catch you guys tomorrow.